A very warm welcome to IDFC First Bank presents Leaders of Tomorrow Season 11. I'm Ritvika Gupta. In this episode, we are bringing you highlights from part 2 of our Pune Springboard, where we had a panel comprising industry experts who analyzed the manufacturing opportunities in Pune. They discussed how these opportunities are attracting both domestic and international companies who are eager to leverage the city's immense potential. Pooja Jain bringing you that conversation with Chetan Walunj, Founder and CEO Repos Energy, Prashant Girbane-Director General MCCIA, Mukund Shah, CEO Affordable Robotics and Automation, Jesal Sampat Executive Director Pune Gas, and Sonam Motwani Founder Karkhana.io.
Mukunda, sir, I'm going to start the conversation with you. And given that Pune is home to, let's say, Kirloskar Group, for example, all right, or Bajaj Auto, or Serum Institute of India, the Make in India movement obviously has high expectations of this city, whether it comes to pumping infrastructure, vaccines, two-wheelers, three-wheelers, and the list goes on and on and on. So the question then becomes, are those expectations justified? And what's the talent development plan required to make that vision a reality, sir?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, Pune's entrepreneurship has moved long way. I have been entrepreneur in 1975, and in those days, Pune entrepreneurs were like, 5:30 badminton time, Savai Gandharva, and by the way, business. But we have changed a lot. I think today, with the great exposure, entrepreneurs have traveled world over. We have homegrown and big industries around who has given the technology. They have done the handholding for many manufacturing companies. With that, the manufacturing sector is now growing. And my take is this is the best chance for the manufacturing industry. And they must come out from the typical thinking of growing 10%, 20% over a year. This is a time to grow 100% year on year. 100% year on year.
Phenomenal. And, Prashant, if I could come to you now, because I believe that, Pune ranks 6th nationwide in terms of per capita income. And that's fairly significant given that this is a non-capital city. So to what extent do you attribute that to its manufacturing strength, sir?
I think to a great extent. Look at Pune, right? It's about 8th, 9th largest city in the country. But it's the largest city in the country, there is a comma, that is not a state capital.
Right.
Isn't it? Pune is the 6th largest city in the country that contributes the taxes to the government. Pune is the 5th largest district that contributes largest merchandise goods exports. Of course, manufactured goods. Pune, and that's all of you contributing to it, is the largest district in the entire country when it comes to engineering goods exports. That includes, of course, automobile, engineering, and many other aspects of it. And hence, the numbers themselves suggest how, to answer your question, manufacturing supports, boosts, contributes the growth, not just of Pune, but by being the number one, leading from front for all the 600 plus districts that we have in the country. So I would certainly say people sitting here and many others who are manufacturers in Pune do contribute significantly in the nation's growth.
And please give yourselves a round of applause for that. And we've got a large but relatively small contingency here, Jesal, compared to the fact that Pune's manufacturing sector employs over 500,000 people, right? In your estimation, what slice of that pie comes from the small and medium business segment or the startup segment specifically? And do you expect that ratio, that slice of that pie to increase?
Absolutely. I mean, if you look at Pune, like, sir said that earlier Pune was a very, it's called pensioners' paradise.
Right.
So
Right.
the manufacturing ability of the country, in the country was not very high. And Pune has taken that leadership when it comes to exports, engineering goods, manufacturing, automotive companies, etc. So the biggest thing in Pune, backed by all the large corporations, is of course the high percentage of MSMEs.
Absolutely.
And in our country, like we have it, it's, we form the backbone of the economy. So I would roughly say like 50, I think I read some article, a year ago, in between COVID, which said that 50% of, the India's GDP economy and growth comes from the MSMEs. And that's the reason why the government also wants to give a lot of benefits, knowledge and kind of help the MSMEs out to grow further. So the mentality of the MSME is now changing rapidly, and no MSME wants to be an MSME. They want to take on growth, they want to take on more challenges, and world is the playground. Yeah. So with our company, it is the same. We are 36 years old, but I tell everyone in the company we are a 36-year-old startup.
Right.
So there's nothing that you can't do anymore. Last 10 years, we've all seen the level of growth that has come in the economy, backed by friendly policies from the government. And from here on, it's just upwards. So I really have a very bullish approach on where we are going to do, where we are going to be in terms with manufacturing, and specifically all these MSMEs really spearheading that growth and being a part of the growth from the top, and not just relying on the big corporations to pull us up. So yeah.
Well, Sonam, I want to bring you in here, building on some of Jesal's observations. And he just mentioned that MSMEs no longer want to be MSMEs. Do you share that sentiment? Do you echo that sentiment and feel that the lines between an MSME and a startup in cities like Pune are now beginning to blur?
So before I get into that, I will give a small intro of my background.
Please.
So that there is more relatability to what I speak about. I'm the founder of Karkhana.io, which is a tech-enabled manufacturing platform. And in our way, we are trying to bring speed to manufacturing by connecting the demand from OEMs to a large number of manufacturing MSMEs across India. And for us, in fact, I'd say more than 50% of our supplier base comes from Pune.
Wow. A huge round of applause to all of you.
And with that perspective, continuing to what Jesal mentioned, MSMEs have a huge desire to grow and grow very fast. Typically, most traditional businesses get a lot of satisfaction from growing 10%, 12% year on year.
Right.
And when we draw a comparison to startup, us being a startup, we have seen pressures of, or rather expectations of growing 2x, 3x year on year. To match that growth, just a desire is not sufficient. What is also required is the right ecosystem of resources. And I will pick up from what Rohit mentioned.
Please.
And when we have worked very up close with MSMEs, the financial resources is one of the main segment that can help them or keep them away from such a growth. So in order to meet the requirements of the kind of growth MSMEs aspire for, even our financial systems, our banking systems, and even the compliances that stay around MSMEs have to be worked in a way that aid that sort of a growth. In countries like the US, there are different compliances that small businesses follow vis-a-vis what large businesses follow. And that is not something that we see in India. Even when you start a company, from day one, the amount of compliances, the amount of reporting, and a lot of paperwork that you have to do is very similar to a large private limited company. And those things also need a ground level change. The way banks evaluate MSMEs for their credit worthiness maybe needs to be a little different. Because ultimately it's the enablement at resource level that can fuel that growth. And combined with their agility to make decisions, I think that growth can be achieved.
Well, Sonam, you bring up an excellent point, and I'll bring you in now, Chetan, because no company can succeed in isolation, right? You do require an ecosystem around you to help fuel growth. So I'd love your perspective on at what age and stage in a company's life cycle does it make sense to sort of put aside the friends and family money, perhaps, and reach out for institutional capital and that professional guidance?
Yes. So what she was mentioning about a startup and an MSME, I prefer to say that if every MSME first stop thinking that I'm an MSME, and the moment I start thinking that I am a startup in itself, the moment startup as a word comes out, see, when we see 98,000 startups getting registered in our country, we find there's a very great ecosystem which is happening in our nation right now. But there is one checkpoint which we all have to understand. Isn't every MSME a startup? Only a small thought process has to be changed. By painting a nice picture and giving it to an investor doesn't make it a great business idea.
I just want to survey the audience for a moment. How many of you believe that every MSME is in fact a startup? By show of hands. All right. And how many of you hold the opposing view that an MSME is not in fact a startup? So I think the room is on your side.
Yeah, thank you. The moment we think that we are a startup, that's where Sir's thought process comes into picture. Can we think of a growth which is 10x, 20x, 30x? Now we have a lovely products. Pune has been a great ecosystem for providing a quality material. See, our nation was deprived of something called quality. But today when we talk about our products getting exported, people prefer, oh, it's a Pune-based company, then we will have that check on the quality part of it. And then they are very rest assured about it. And now when it comes down to funding, the moment our mindset changes, that I am a startup right now, we start exploring the funds. The moment Sir said that equity is a very costly affair, but what is needed for growth, right? Getting into that small factory always and thinking that I'm not going to take that risk. Is it good enough for us to strive? Or is our product which is needed to go worldwide and I liquidate some part of equity? There are people who are waiting across the globe to fund it. If the product and the market fit is right, I think we should go ahead with that. Coming back to your institutional money, probably with Repos, we never thought whether we want to take a money from an institution or from a person. We always thought we will take a money from a right person who aligns to our mindset. If I'm going to an institute and if that person is not aligned to my ideology, even if I'm taking from a person or institute, that doesn't matter, right? The moment the alignment happens, and that's where our investment from Mr. Ratan Tata came in such a format where he shared that you are here to build an industry. You are not here to build your own organization. And that's where the story starts. And that's why. Thank you.
Phenomenal. Phenomenal.
It's time for a quick break here. We'll be back shortly. Stay tuned. Welcome back. You're watching IDFC First Bank presents Leaders of Tomorrow Season 11. Tonight we are bringing you part 2 of our Pune Springboard. Here are the highlights from the panel discussion.
When we talk about tech mania in Pune, and I'll come to you now, Jesal, look, I think it's clear that Pune is a world-class educator, but what luck has it had as an employer? Are we actually doing enough to retain top talent in this city? Or are we seeing, a brain drain of sorts like the larger country?
No, absolutely. There's no brain drain, I would say. In fact, I would look at it as a positive influx of a lot of new students coming into the city. Like all the panelists have mentioned about how many engineering colleges have been there in Pune. It's been like an Oxford of the East, sometimes it's called. So a lot of good talent, skilled workforce, conducive environment for business, good policies from the companies. Lot of companies in Pune are very organized to an extent that, they want to do good to the environment. They want to do good in the world. So, unlike in many other parts of the country where the most important thing is money, in a lot of companies in Pune, the most important thing is not money, but it's also to have a good life and give your people who are working for you, for the company, also a better way of life. So there's been a very good mixture of IT, manufacturing, and the beauty of Pune is that there's so much talent, not just for manufacturing, but also information technology, software, banking. There's a complete spectrum of industries which is available in Pune to really explore. I have a friend of mine. She was an SAP consultant, and now she's head of marketing at Mastercard. So look at the difference from SAP to marketing.
Right.
So that's what Pune gives you as well. If you're really passionate about something, you have opportunities here. You can learn and you can really grow your career in the field that you want to really go into. So I don't think there's any dearth of talent. Pune is one of the more lucky places to have that kind of a culture to have good talent, which is not really the case in many other parts of the country.
All right. Well, Sonam, I have to bring you in here because you're, of course, joining us from Mumbai this evening. So how do you respond to the comparisons around perhaps quality of life, kind of taking that trump card in the city of Pune as opposed to where we both hail from, good old Mumbai?
I think everyone has their own barometer of quality of life. For me, I love Pune as a city, but I am now a Mumbaikar at heart. And though I will not disagree with that Mumbai does throw a lot of struggles your way in your day-to-day. And I think still a lot of us always love our city. I'm sure if a few people from Pune will get together, they will have a lot to talk about how, the city's infrastructure is crumbling. That's what we also do when we are back with people from Bombay. But again, coming back to that quality of life is a barometer. And it's about where you find your balance. I don't think work-life balance also in that way is a construct that can be copy-pasted from one person to another. I, being a startup entrepreneur, I find a lot of joy in the work I do, and that is balance for me. And if that works for me, people I, keep close to, I think I have a great quality of life.
Very diplomatically answered. Lovely. And I want to come to you now, Chetan, to both respond to some of Sonam's comments, but also, she brought up connectivity, and it occurred to me that there's so much conversation around the electrification of Pune, right? The rapidly maturing infrastructural landscape of Pune, right? So I'm trying to understand that in this kind of homegrown, sophistication of infrastructure, to what extent are small and medium enterprises walking away with a slice of the pie? What is their contribution, if any?
Yes, first I will agree with what she is saying that China had has its own strength. And when we go and compare with any of the country and their ecosystem, we are going to fail. Because we have to compare apple to apple. And when we talk about our own strengths, let us look at we as a nation. See, we are diverse. We love a new change every day. We need to have few festivals in a month. That's how we as an Indian, we stay. When we go to China, they will have a similar life pattern. They will have a similar food, which we don't like, right? And that's where I think that should bring back to our work. When we talk about our MSMEs, there is such a good innovation what we are doing inside. We are not positioning it, we are not marketing it very well. We always think, and when I started my career, my parents always said that when I came from a small village called Chakan, which is now a manufacturing hub, my parents said, can you solve a problem for this small portion of the city? Then I came to Pune and he said, why don't you solve a problem statement for Pune? And that's how Repos or my business idea started getting evolved. When I thought of Maharashtra, I was very zapped. I said, oh, this is such a big market. Then the moment I went onto a national platform, I said, wow, this is an entire country to be solved. And last few weeks back when we were in US, so we thought, why don't we think about a global problem statement to be solved? And now, I'm sure the global problem statement is here, we are here, but can we start? Can we start right now? Can we imagine, see, 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 years is long to chase, but somewhere we have to start, at least a global approach now.
Pooja, a quick one.
Please,
if I may.
sir, please.
I think just on the point, coincidentally and fortunately, there are a bunch of Pune companies in the last 2-3 years for sure have gone to Germany, acquired something, set up shop, and they've done wonderfully well.
Absolutely, they have. It's a very proud moment for this city because expectations have increased as we become more of a superpower on the international stage. We need to be in leadership positions. We are no longer simply the world's back office.
Absolutely. So I feel like Indians are already there on the leadership stage. If you look at the best companies in the US, World Bank president is now Indian. Microsoft, Google, Adobe, all these companies are being run by Indians. Starbucks has a CEO and he's from Pune. So,
Right, that's
so
right.
we were just joking that, Starbucks will start selling vada pav now. So, but yeah, I mean, Pune being the city it is, there is two ways to, answer this. One is, yes, there is a big room for improvement. But the problem is in the, the generation prior to us. So when I was growing up, it was basically like, you finish school, then you go to college and the parents are like, okay, either you become a doctor, engineer or CA. These are the only three options. So if you're,
Right.
you are good at studies, doctor. If you're, there, you become an engineer. Otherwise, if you're taking commerce, you aspire to be a CA. Anything below that, you're useless. So that is the problem I have faced in so many other friends of my, as old as me. So the parents really, have built up their life and their businesses from scratch. And they want to see their kids and children have a better life. But back in the day, having a better life meant becoming doctor, engineer, CA. And then, for if you're in Bombay, etc., then lawyer is okay, acceptable.
Lovely. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I have to thank all of our panelists for digging so deep into their personal journeys and their professional journeys to share these insights with you. Another huge round of applause for them once more.
And that's a wrap on this episode of IDFC First Bank Presents Leaders of Tomorrow Season 11. I'm Ritvika Gupta signing off. Thank you for watching. Good night.